In the year 2145, Earth was a fragile planet caught in the grasp of advanced civilizations. Among them was a species known as the Calixians, alien predators from a distant galaxy. They were formidable creatures, towering above humans with green skin, sharp claws, and a reputation for being ruthless hunters. They came to Earth with a single purpose: to capture humans for sport and ensure their dominance over the lesser species. The Calixians landed in a remote area, their spaceship resembling a massive, gnarled tree. It was a sight that inspired fear in the hearts of many. Among the first to see it was a young boy named Leo. He lived in a small farmhouse on the outskirts of a quiet village. When Leo spotted the ship, he ran to tell his friends, Sarah and Jake, who lived nearby. They all gathered in a clearing to watch as the Calixians stepped out, their intimidating figures towering over the landscape. "Who are they?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling with awe and fear. "Monsters," Jake replied. "They've come to hunt us." As night fell, the village was plunged into panic. The elders called for a meeting, and the townsfolk gathered to discuss the alien threat. Leo, Sarah, and Jake sat in the back, nervous but curious. The town's leader, an old man named Mr. Thompson, stood up to address everyone. "We must not let fear divide us," he said, his voice steady. "These aliens think they are strong, but we are clever. We will not be their prey." Leo's mind raced with ideas. While the town discussed how to hide, he imagined a different plan. He believed that if the humans could outsmart the Calixians, they might be able to turn the tables. After the meeting, Leo shared his thoughts with Sarah and Jake. "We can set a trap," Leo suggested eagerly. "We could lure them in and catch them instead." Sarah frowned. "But they are strong, Leo. We might get hurt." Jake, excited by the idea, said, "What if we use their own technology against them? I heard they have gadgets that can help them track us." The three friends began to brainstorm. They spent the next couple of days observing the Calixians from a distance. They watched as the creatures set up camp and used strange devices to locate humans. Finally, they devised a plan that involved bait and some clever tricks. On the third night, Leo, Sarah, and Jake put their plan into action. They baited a small decoy resembling a human with the scent of wildflowers, hoping to attract the Calixians. They then hid behind old wooden barrels in the nearby barn, watching with bated breath. As the moon rose high, the Calixians emerged from the shadows, their eyes glowing. They approached the decoy, sniffing the air, unaware of the trap set around. Just then, Leo activated the first trap, a net made from strong vines. The net soared into the air, catching one of the Calixians. The creature roared in surprise, and the others sprang into action. Leo, Sarah, and Jake darted from their hiding place. Feeling a surge of adrenaline, they rushed to set off the additional traps they had placed around the area. "Now, over here," Leo shouted to his friends as they redirected the Calixians toward more traps. The young heroes worked in sync, leading the aliens on a chase that turned the tables in a startling way. The Calixians were not as agile as the children had expected. With every trap that was activated, the kids cheered and their confidence grew. They managed to ensnare 2 more Calixians, leaving the last one, the largest and most fearsome, cornered. The creature charged at them, roaring with fury. It was strong, towering over the children as it lunged. But Leo, quick thinking, remembered the shiny objects they had picked up from the fallen Calixian ship. He threw one directly at the creature's face. The Calixian stopped and stumbled back, confused by the bright light from the device. Seeing their chance, Sarah and Jake charged forward, using the ropes to tie the creature down. The fight was tough, but with teamwork, they managed to subdue it. Panting and exhausted, they stood over the defeated alien. The once powerful predator was now at their mercy. Leo looked at his friends, excitement and disbelief in their eyes. "We did it!" Jake shouted, his voice echoing in the night. But they realized their victory came with a heavy cost. Most of their village still hid in fear, not knowing if more Calixians were on their way. They needed to figure out a plan to protect their home completely. The children decided to take the captured Calixian back to town. When they returned, the elders did not believe their tale at first, but the sight of the captured alien stunned everyone into silence. "We can learn from this creature," Mr. Thompson said, marveling at the alien technology. "It can teach us how to fend ourselves." With the help of the captured Calixian, the village began to devise plans for their future. They built barriers, learned about the Calixian technology, and prepared for any other predators that might come to Earth. The children were hailed as heroes, and the fear that had taken over the town slowly faded away. Months passed, and though the Calixians never returned in full force, the village remained vigilant and prepared, knowing that they could stand up for themselves. Leo, Sarah, and Jake remained close friends, reminding each other that even when faced with dangers, cleverness and courage could turn the tides. They learned that sometimes the hunted could become the hunters. And so, Earth was more than just a home for humans. It was a place of resilience, where the small could outsmart the mighty, and together they forge a new path for the future. The year is 2342. Space travel is as common as taking a flight across countries was in the 21st century. Humanity had spread across the stars, colonizing planets and moons, always pushing the boundaries of the known universe. But they weren't alone. The KRYLL, an alien race from the dark fringes of the Andromeda Galaxy, had arrived, and they weren't here for peaceful negotiations. They were here to conquer, to kill, and to claim Earth as their own. The KRYLL were apex predators, standing tall at almost 9 feet, with chitinous exoskeletons, razor-sharp claws, and a thirst for blood. They had ravaged countless worlds before, leaving only death and destruction in their wake. Earth was just another stepping stone in their galactic domination. The first attack was swift and brutal. KRYLL warships descended from the sky, unleashing waves of soldiers upon unsuspecting cities. Millions perished in the initial onslaught, but humanity didn't break. They retaliated with everything they had. Among the defenders was Captain Eva Rostova, a seasoned veteran of the Earth Defense Force. She had seen her fair share of battles, but nothing could prepare her for the sheer brutality of the KRYLL. Yet she stood firm, leading her squad through the war-torn streets of what was once New York City. "Hold the line!" she yelled, her voice hoarse, as KRYLL warriors charged toward their barricade. Plasma rifles fired, tearing through the alien ranks, but they kept coming, their eyes burning with cold, predatory hunger. Beside Eva was Sergeant Marcus Cole, a young but capable soldier. He was quick on his feet, and even quicker with a joke, a much-needed morale booster in the face of such grim circumstances. "They just keep coming, Captain," he said, firing a well-aimed shot that took down a KRYLL. "Like roaches, but bigger and uglier." "Then we exterminate them like roaches," Eva replied, her gaze unwavering. She knew they were outnumbered, outgunned, but they had something the KRYLL didn't, a fierce determination to protect their home. As the battle raged on, humanity began to adapt. They studied the KRYLL, learning their weaknesses, their tactics. They discovered that the KRYLL relied heavily on pheromones for communication, and disrupting these signals could throw them into disarray. They also learned that while their exoskeletons were tough, they were vulnerable at the joints. Dr. Eris Thorne, a brilliant but eccentric scientist, was instrumental in this effort. He worked day and night in his underground laboratory, analyzing KRYLL physiology, searching for any advantage humanity could exploit. "We can't beat them with brute force," he explained to a group of military officials. "But we can outsmart them. We can turn their strengths into weaknesses." Eris developed a pheromone disruptor, a device that could scramble the KRYLL's communication network, sowing confusion among their ranks. He also designed armor-piercing rounds specifically designed to target the KRYLL's joints. Equipped with these new tools, humanity began to push back. The tide of the war slowly started to turn. The KRYLL, once unstoppable, found themselves facing a resilient and resourceful enemy. Eva and her squad were among the first to field-test Eris's inventions. They moved through the ruined city, hunting KRYLL patrols. The pheromone disruptor worked wonders, causing the KRYLL to stumble and hesitate, giving the humans the upper hand. "It's like they don't know what they're doing," Marcus said, watching a group of KRYLL warriors firing wildly at each other. "Thanks, Doc, you're a lifesaver." But the war was far from over. The KRYLL brought in reinforcements, even larger and more fearsome than before. They unleashed devastating weapons that turned entire city blocks into molten slag. Humanity was pushed to the brink. Desperate, the world's leaders authorized a daring plan, a direct assault on the KRL's flagship, a massive vessel orbiting Earth. Eva and her squad were chosen to lead the mission. "This is a suicide mission," Eva said, addressing her team. "We may not come back, but if we don't do this, Earth is doomed." No one hesitated. They were soldiers, and they had a duty to defend their home, no matter the cost. They boarded a small, stealth spacecraft and slipped past the KRYL defenses. Once inside the flagship, they moved silently through the corridors, avoiding patrols, setting explosives at key points. They reached the bridge, where the KRYL commander, a towering figure known as Forlag, oversaw the invasion. A fierce firefight erupted. Plasma bolts flew. Explosions rocked the ship, and KRYL warriors fell before the humans' relentless assault. Eva faced Forlag in a final, desperate showdown. The KRYL commander was stronger, faster, but Eva was more cunning. She used her knowledge of the KRYL's weaknesses against him, dodging his attacks, targeting his joints with precise shots. Finally, with a well-aimed grenade, she blew a hole in Forlag's exoskeleton, exposing his vulnerable flesh. The KRYL commander roared in pain and fury, but it was too late. Eva emptied her plasma rifle into him, and he collapsed, defeated. With Forlag dead, the KRYL flagship fell into chaos. The explosives detonated, tearing the ship apart. Eva and her squad managed to escape in their spacecraft just before the flagship exploded, sending debris raining down upon Earth. The destruction of the flagship crippled the KRYL invasion. Their forces scattered, their morale shattered. Humanity had won, but the victory came at a great cost. Millions were dead, cities lay in ruins, and the Earth was scarred. Yet, humanity had shown its resilience, its adaptability, its unwavering spirit. They had faced an alien predator and emerged victorious. In the aftermath of the war, humanity began to rebuild. They learned from their mistakes, strengthened their defenses, and reached out to other civilizations in the galaxy, seeking alliances, seeking peace. And they never forgot the lesson they had learned from the KRYL, that even the most fearsome predators could become prey when faced with a determined and resourceful enemy. Humanity had proven that they were not just survivors, but thrivers, capable of adapting and overcoming any challenge, no matter how daunting. Eva stood on the ruins of New York City, gazing up at the stars. The war was over, but the future was uncertain. Yet, she felt a sense of hope. Humanity had faced its darkest hour and emerged stronger than ever. They had stared into the abyss and refused to blink. They had become the predators, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the year 2145, Earth had changed. The air was thicker with technology. Cities rose high into the clouds, and humanity pushed the boundaries of science. However, among the stars, an alien race known as the Corvins had watched Earth's growth. They were fierce hunters, known for their skills in tracking and their impressive technology. The Corvins decided it was time to invade Earth, believing that humans were weak and would provide easy prey. As the Corvins entered the solar system, humans were unaware of the danger approaching them. In a small town named Eldridge, a group of friends gathered to watch the night sky. Sarah, a passionate astronomer, pointed out a bright light that wasn't a star. Jason, her adventurous brother, laughed it off. It's probably just a satellite or something. But Sarah's instincts told her otherwise. She felt a strange energy radiating from the light. The next day, news broke out across the globe. Reports flooded in about strange flashes in the sky. Governments scrambled to understand what was happening. In Eldridge, Sarah and Jason teamed up with their friends, Mia and Tom, to investigate. Mia was a tech-savvy girl who loved to code, while Tom was a budding engineer who could fix anything. Together, they formed a close-knit team that was determined to figure out the mystery. As the days passed, the bright light transformed into a large, looming ship that settled in the nearby forest. It was terrifying and beautiful, shining with colors that no human had ever seen before. The townsfolk were frightened. Many believed it was a sign of danger. However, Sarah felt drawn to it. "We need to find out what they want," she insisted. That night, the group of friends made a plan to approach the ship. With flashlights and their hearts racing, they carefully walked through the shadowy trees. When they reached the ship, they saw a door opening slowly. Inside, the air was filled with a humming noise and strange lights danced around them. Suddenly, they saw figures stepping out. The Corvins were tall, with dark skin and glowing eyes, and they wore sleek, metallic armor. The friends froze. The Corvins looked around, scanning the area with their advanced technology. They seemed to be searching for something, or someone. Then one of the Corvins spoke in a deep voice. "We come for the hunt." Prepared to be collected. Panic surged through the group. They knew they needed to escape, but could not move. Just then, Mia noticed something glowing on the Corvin's arm. "If we can just get one of those devices," she whispered. It was a small orb, likely a weapon or a communicator. Taking a leap of faith, Jason shouted, "Look out!" causing the Corvins to turn. With their attention diverted, Mia dashed forward and swiped the orb from the nearest Corvin. The Corvins responded by raising their weapons at the four friends, but Sarah, thinking quickly, yelled, "Run!" They sprinted back to town, hearts pounding. Once in the safety of Jason's house, they breathed heavily. Mia examined the orb they had taken. "I think it's some kind of tech," she said, her eyes bright with curiosity. "If I can figure out how it works, we might be able to turn the tables on them." The group spent the next few nights experimenting with the orb. They discovered it had the ability to create a shield. It could protect them from the Corvins and allow them to strike back with surprise. The friends trained together, learning how to use the orb for defense and offense. They became a team of warriors, ready to defend their home. As the Corvins' presence grew stronger in Eldridge, so did the courage of Sarah, Jason, Mia, and Tom. They often discussed strategies late into the night. One evening, Tom suggested, "What if we lure them into the forest and use the orb? We can set a trap." The idea excited everyone. They would be the hunters this time. On the chosen night, they set their plan in motion. They created noise and lights near the ship, drawing the Corvins out. As the aliens approached, the friends activated the orb, creating a glowing shield that illuminated the forest. The Corvins hesitated, surprised and confused. "What is this?" one of them growled. With their courage as their weapon, the friends charged forward. They fought fiercely, using the shield to protect themselves while disabling the Corvins' tech. Mia focused on using the orb's energy to overload the Corvins' devices. Meanwhile, Sarah and Jason worked together to outsmart the alien hunters, using their knowledge of the forest to set up obstacles, making it hard for the Corvins to track them. As the battle raged, the aliens realized that these humans were not the weak prey they thought they were. Humans had ingenuity and bravery. The Corvins, overwhelmed and confused, began to retreat. Sarah shouted, "Now?" pushed them back to their ship. Their unexpected attack forced the Corvins to scramble back. Just when it seemed they might reclaim their advantage, Tom launched a final surprise attack using the orb's energy at the ship itself. There was an explosion of light and sound as the ship shook. The Corvins took off into the sky, abandoning their mission and leaving Eldridge behind. The townsfolk gathered as the ship vanished into the night. The friends felt a wave of triumph. They had turned the tables on their supposed hunters and protected their home. In that moment, they knew that humans could stand up to any threat, even fierce alien predators. As dawn broke over Eldridge, Sarah, Jason, Mia, and Tom stood together, united by their bravery and unexpected victory. They had shown that humanity, when pushed, could fight back with heart and ingenious spirit. The news of their stand spread far and wide, inspiring others that day. The aliens had come to kill, but instead, humans had preyed on them. Together, the four friends felt the pride of having defended their town. They looked toward the sky, knowing the fight for humanity was far from over, but